Hello, everyone, and welcome back. What's on tap for today? Well, we've got another reaction video. This time it's of the Young Turks again, folks, who I affectionately like to call the Yellow Turkeys or their nom de plume, the Young Jerks. This time, Ana and Cenk, what do they have to do? They are being triggered and they are talking about the allegations of sexual misconduct against Congresswoman Lauren Boebert. Cash, escort services, abortions, all that stuff, allegations being made by a super PAC. We're going to get into all of that, folks, in the next few seconds. But before we do so, we just want to let you know you're watching the Dr. Nasir Shaikh Show. I'm your guest host. My name is Dr. Nasir. Like, share, and follow us. Hit that subscription button if you haven't already done so. Hit that notification bell so you know when we put out more content like this. Let's get to that video right now.
Lauren Boebert has officially responded to allegations that she once worked as an unlicensed escort and even had 2 abortions. She has denied these allegations, which were put out by the same political action committee that tanked Madison Cawthorn's political career, the American Muckrakers PAC. And not only has she denied it, she's also threatening to sue them. But before we get to those details, and you want to stick around for those details, I just want to give you a refresher on what transpired this week, okay? So here were the allegations. Lauren Boebert, and this was posted on firebrand.com. Lauren Boebert was an unlicensed paid escort and met clients through sugardaddymeet.com. Text messages show that she was bankrupt at the time and looking for side income and called her work pay to play. She was paid to escort wealthy men. The allegations continue to say that Boebert had an abortion at the Planned Parenthood clinic in Glenwood Springs, Colorado, due to her work with a sugardaddymeet.com client. And then there were some elements to these allegations that potentially implicate Ted Cruz. In 2019, for instance, Boebert was hired, allegedly, according to these allegations, by a wealthy male client in Aspen, Colorado, who was a Koch family member. Boebert's rich client subsequently introduced her to US Senator Ted Cruz in Aspen in 2019. After meeting with Cruz, Boebert was encouraged by him to run for Congress. And then here's a part that is confirmed, okay? And the question is, why did it play out this way? After Boebert announced her campaign for Congress in December of 2019, Senator Cruz donated $126,000 to the Boebert campaign and helped her raise large sums of money during trips Boebert made to Texas. Boebert didn't disclose a $75,000 donation until Cruz's Federal Election Commission filings contradicted her filings.
Interesting.
Why did she hide that contribution? We don't know. But what we do know,
Okay, so let's just stop right here. You know, the TYT, oh my goodness, these guys, aren't they just, they are titillating. They are having an orgasm over at the Young Jerks because this is salacious news, this salacious allegations against a congresswoman that these guys just don't like. They hate her because she stands for something that they don't represent. She stands for freedom and liberty. She wants to have America first. These guys obviously are looking at their definition of freedom and liberty is completely different. But before we get to that, remember she said this is the part that's confirmed? Well, after every one of these allegations, I want to basically show you sort of how these guys are so wrong on so many things because they're just dying for it to be absolutely true, that these guys go into just like that super PAC called the Muckrakers, these guys fight in the muck and the mud. That's what these guys do at the TYT, the Young Turks, or the Yellow Turkeys, or the Young Jerks. Anyways, let me show you something that completely sort of refutes what these guys are saying, and it's not being made by a right-wing organization or anything. It's being made by the Cabal News Network, the Clinton News Network, CNN. Let me show you a clip of what CNN thinks about these allegations. Let's go to that right now. So here we have something from CNN Politics, and it says facts first, something that I think TYT ought to put into their disclaimers. Hey, you know what? How about we talk about the facts first rather than all these allegations and all these the way that, we want the story to hopefully be. So the fact check Democratic group makes multiple false claims in its dramatic allegations about Lauren Boebert's past. So let's go down real quickly. And here is, first of all, there's a photo of a woman who isn't Boebert. That's the first thing, okay? Just remember that, folks. First of all, a photo of a woman who isn't Boebert, but they say it actually is, but it really isn't. Next, an error in the abortion allegations. All right, there's abortion allegations that she had 2 abortions, okay? Next, Cruz's contributions weren't made during Boebert's primary. Remember, they just talked about, oh, but this has been confirmed? Well, here's CNN saying that the contributions, they weren't made during her primary. And remember they said that she failed to disclose this. Why did she do that? That was actually a corroborated, you know, it was absolutely true. That's what TYT, that's what Ana was saying, right? Well, here it is. Boebert did not fail to report Cruz's contribution. Wow, TYT. I mean, you see a pattern here, folks, developing with this, with TYT. And then the sugar daddy site that they said allegedly that it says that it has no record of Lauren Boebert ever being on the site or um, having some type of a profile there, but they're putting out those allegations. Anyways, let's get back to the video and let's continue through.
So far is that Boebert has denied these allegations, first via Twitter, where she wrote, "Fact check, not true. Fake news for Pinocchios. Also, y'all need Jesus."
Well, if it is true, apparently you do.
So she first denies it on Twitter.
Maybe you, Cenk.
And then we learn that there is a possible lawsuit coming, okay? And so her attorney wrote a strongly worded letter to the American Muckrakers PAC saying, "We have irrefutable evidence that each one of these statements is patently false. You knew this though. Muckrakers published these outlandish statements knowing they were fabricated, but you likely operated under the inaccurate assumption that publishing false statements against a public figure would not create legal liability." And then the lawyer, his name is Jonathan Anderson, noted that proving a defamation case against a public figure has a heightened standard of proof, and said that what is legally and financially disastrous for Muckrakers is the fact that we also have evidence, including internal Muckrakers text and email communications, that demonstrates Muckrakers did in fact publish statements, knowing those statements to be false. So that is what the lawyer is alleging, right? And the reason why he's wording it this way is because in a defamation case, in order to win as the individual bringing the defamation suit, you have to prove actual malice, right? You have to prove that there was malicious intent and that the individuals who published this information did so knowing that it was false. Again, that is.
And Muckrakers, they were just doing it out of the goodness of their heart. They didn't want to defame Lauren Boebert. They didn't want to cause her any problems. They didn't want to put any salacious allegations of sexual misconduct, cash for sex, sex for cash, abortions, hiding, donations. They were just doing it out of the goodness of their heart to let the people know what was going on. They didn't want to do anything to hurt or harm her. Oh, of course not. No, Anna, they didn't want to do anything like that. And I think it's really, look, this is exactly what the TYT is using in terms of they're using Anna as the front lady to bring this story out. And I myself am quite surprised that you have one lady, attacking another lady's character, her honor, her integrity. And I would think that you would be above that. And I also would be saying the same thing if somebody, like, I know it's like reporting a story, we're all doing that or whatever, but it's the way that these people bring about the story. They didn't check their facts, they didn't check their sources, they just basically threw it out there. And that's what people do these days. And then you have to people like us, our organization, our video, what we try to do is we have to clean up this mess afterwards. That's what we've got to do. But do you think that these guys put a retraction out or said that we were completely wrong? Of course they didn't. Anyways, let's continue.
Is a pretty high bar, but Johnny Depp did it, so who knows? Now, this is the part that I find super juicy, right? Because American Muckrakers PAC responded to Lauren Boebert's tweet denying that this is true by saying this, okay? No second term for Boebert. If it's fake news, then sue us. We would love to depose you about these matters. And Ted and Mr. Koch, bring it, you fake Congress thing.
Okay, so that's super strong. And I know that when I'm right, I've been tempted to say that. Lawyers normally tackle you before you say that. And they say, no matter how right you are, you gotta be super duper careful, okay? And they did it anyway. So, I mean, if I'm looking at this from the outside and trying to figure out who's got the right cards, I'm leaning towards the guys who say, oh, come at me, bro. Sue me, let's go to deposition, see how that turns out for you. And so my guess is she's not gonna actually sue. So now, look, if the allegations are false, she gets put in an impossible situation.
True.
Because if you don't respond, everybody's gonna say, well, I guess it must be true. If you do respond, then everybody is allowed to write about it because you're now responding. And that's a United States congressperson saying, I didn't have 2 abortions and I wasn't an escort, right? So that puts her in a super tough spot if she didn't do it. If she did do it, it puts her in a tough spot and all good. Okay, so that's great. Now, in terms of why I think she's not gonna actually sue, those depositions are real, man. You gotta go and you gotta answer the questions truthfully, and the other side gets to present evidence.
Mr. Uygur, in a previous career, you were a practicing lawyer, am I correct?
Not a big deal, I was for at least 9 months.
So what typically happens in this type of lawsuit? There's a process known as discovery. What happens in discovery?
Well, that is where you must legally hand over the documents that are relevant. If not, you have consequences, right? And so if they're gonna ask Boebert for documents and she hides them, she theoretically could be in a lot of trouble, right? Otherwise, she has to give them over. Okay, so that's why Muckrakers is coming in super strong, over the top, going, let's do it. Let's do it. I'll see you in court. And that's why I don't think she's gonna do it. Because even if she would, like, let's say that it's wrong around the edges. She didn't have 2 abortions, she had 3. Okay, no, seriously, she had 1. She wasn't like, she was an escort, but only for 6 months. She didn't sleep with Ted Cruz or the Koch family guy, but others, right? Well, you're still gonna get caught, right? So you don't want to go through discovery and deposition if you did any of it. Okay?
And also through the discovery process, there could be other embarrassing and or incriminating details about either her past, her present, what she's engaging in through her position of power. That's what you saw through the Johnny Depp Amber Heard trial, right? It wasn't just that you were learning about the allegations that she had defamed Johnny Depp. You learned all sorts of pretty terrible and embarrassing things that she herself had engaged in. So look, does this put her in a tough spot if she actually is completely innocent and hadn't engaged in anything, including the escort allegation or the abortions? Sure. But at the same time, she has no problem putting every woman in America in a tough spot by essentially letting the government decide what she can and can't do with her body. So I know.
Oh boy, and it comes right back. If it doesn't come back to the R card for being a racist, if it doesn't come back to the B card for being a bigot, if it doesn't coming back for the J6 card for being an insurrectionist, if it doesn't come back to any of those, then what do you throw out there? You throw out the other, you think, the Trump card, which is my body, my choice. So, you know what? If she's getting hit with these allegations, so what? If she's being defamed, so what? If her reputation is being run through the mud, so what? You know what? She deserves it. She deserves all this because she's the one that has the audacity to say, you know what? You can't have an abortion. You can't control your own body. So everything that's coming at her, she deserves because she is not on the side of women's rights, that women have control of their own body. That's what Ana is trying to let you know, folks. Let's continue.
Know that there are a few people on the left who are like, these aren't completely confirmed and tisk tisk. We must show everyone how good and moral we are and how pure we are, and we must be kind to this woman who is stripping us of our rights. Yeah, I'm not interested in playing that way. We are reporting what is being alleged. I'm going to continue reporting on this story because I think the American public, primarily the right-wing voters in America who purport to care so much about family values, deserve to know what the reality is.
Wow, Ana. Thank you for thinking so much about us on the right, us conservatives. Boy, what would we do without someone like you at the TYT? At the Young Turks, also known as the Young Jerks. What would we do if you weren't reporting these allegations to us? Wow. We'd be up the creek without a paddle, Ana. Yeah, I think so. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and so there's two parts of that as well. One is, if it turns out that she didn't do it, that's why I would love for them to go to court, because I'd like to know what's true. I wouldn't like to know what's against Boebert if it isn't true, right? So if it turns out she didn't do any of these things, I'm no problem coming out here and telling you guys, oh no, that was totally unfair attack against her. It doesn't mean she isn't wrong on all the issues. She's already wrong, right? But the truth matters. Now the second point is Daniel Sanchez wrote in on YouTube.
Like we just said, yeah, the truth matters, Cenk. Now let me ask you something. When the truth matters, now I don't know, but I tried to see if I could find any type of a retraction or anything that you basically came up with later that talked about the stuff that I just mentioned about the CNN piece, right? Cenk, did you happen to do this? Let me just refresh everyone's memory, and Cenk's as well, all right? So Cenk, I'm just wondering, did you ever, when you said truth matters, did you put this out there basically saying fact check? Democratic group makes multiple false claims in its dramatic allegations about Lauren Boebert's past. Huh, Cenk? Did you happen to do that? Did TYT do that? I haven't seen it. If you have, I'd love for you to, I would love for you guys, come on, come after me, rebut me on this, react to this video here. I'm begging you to do that, but you won't, because you know that in every instance when I've done these videos, I have absolutely punched holes in every story that you guys have put out there, and have basically said that what you're putting out there, 99.99% of the time, it's completely wrong, or it's completely slanted in such a way that the facts you obscure the facts and just spin your own narrative out there, which I understand is what you're trying to do. But I thought that you guys were supposed to say that you guys have journalistic integrity and that you always want to put the facts out there. Don't think you're doing that there, Cenk. Anyways, let's get back to the video.
Super chat. Am I the only one to see Boebert's story as a tragedy? I have friends who have resentfully resorted to sex work. Given the chance, they'd do the same. No, look, I'm really glad you wrote that in, Daniel. And we clarified this when we originally covered the story too. Look, we're not getting on her for the escort stuff at all. If she did that, it is what it is. That is, not only is it that the least of the charges, it's not even a charge. I don't care, right? So if she did the escort work for Republicans who then paid her money to run as a politician, that's different, okay? And we talked about her husband taking nearly $500,000 from oil and gas companies pretending to be a consultant. That's about influencing our vote. That's different, that's material. That matters a lot more. And then of course, if the 2 abortions are true, well, I give it right back to the Republicans. If it's true, are you definitely gonna vote against her? My guess is no, because I don't think you care. I think you're just using it as an excuse to attack the other side.
Yeah,
I don't think you care at all that she had 2 abortions.
The culture war of reproductive rights, which has been completely manufactured by the right wing, has been a tool for political power. And that tool for political power has severe consequences for the freedoms and the autonomy of women in this country. And so this is not us saying like, oh, it's wrong to be an escort or someone who works in, as a sex worker. In fact, it should be legalized and regulated to protect sex workers. And we've been on the record on that a million times. Look, we live in an age where we can be blunt and clear about where we stand on the issues, and people still want to signal that they're somehow.
Anyways, folks, what I want to basically go back to is, what these guys continue to put out there. We talked about it, that they wanted to put this out there, and everyone's reporting it. We're talking about it too. We're trying to just basically correct the record. And I would have to say too, is that you're reporting a story, and we may one day be put in a position to report on a story, maybe on somebody that's, I would hope though, that we would try to at least bring both sides. And then if we were wrong on something, I certainly would want to go ahead and print a retraction, but not jump head first into a story just because of the salacious content of it. No. All right, anyways, let's go to the CNN report one more time for those of you that want to take a look at it a little bit more in depth. We're going to go to that right now. So as I said before, you can go to CNN Politics and read this for yourself, but basically it says, a Democratic super PAC has made multiple false claims about Republican Representative Lauren Boebert while pushing unproven allegations that the right-wing Colorado congressman has had abortions and formerly worked as escort. American Muckrakers PAC co-founder David Wheeler acknowledged to CNN that the super PAC had been sloppy and had published many inaccuracies on its anti-Boebert website, though he said it remains confident in the main points of the story. This guy's another one of those people that fall under the acronym that I have coined, SIMR, S-I-M-R. He's just stupid, idiotic, moronic, and retarded. His comments came after CNN reporting found that the super PAC made at least 5 false statements about Boebert, along with a series of uncorroborated assertions that Boebert says are false and that CNN could neither immediately confirm nor immediately debunk. Now, they talk about here, Senator Cruz, they said it was wrong to suggest that Cruz had made big contributions to Boebert's campaign immediately after she started running in her first primary. It was wrong about the date of Boebert's vehicle accident. It was wrong when it published a claim that Boebert had an abortion in the fall of 2004. In other words, at most 6 months before she gave birth to a son in March 2005. Now, let's just go on here. It says, Boebert spokesman Ben Stout also told CNN that Boebert had never had a profile on sugar daddy, never been an escort, never had an abortion, and that other claims that the super PAC claimed are absolutely false. He says Wheeler's baseless and slanderous claims have been proven wrong time and again with facts and evidence. And he said, now Wheeler said the PAC is ready and willing to defend its main claims in a legal fight, though he said it is not interested in a lawsuit and does not believe its errors have been defamatory. No, not at all. The super PAC says all of its anonymous sources have expressed a willingness to come forward to be deposed and testify in court if Boebert does pursue legal action. That's just plain BS. They're not willing to do that. No way, he's just saying that. So here's some of the inaccuracies we were talking that CNN has found. First of all, a photo of a woman who isn't Boebert. The photo the super PAC insists of Boebert posing on a bed in a tight dress is actually a photo of another woman. That woman, who had posted the photo years ago on her profile on a modeling website, confirmed to CNN that it's her in the shot. Wow, TYT, the Young Jerks. Have you put up a video and basically said that that photo was really not a Boebert? It says, I will concede though, this is the super PAC. They said, we will concede that I think somehow our source mixed that up with something else. I don't know how she mixed it up, Wheeler said. Not sure how they mixed up the photo. Just one piece of evidence, a very strong piece of evidence, but somehow we just messed that up. Now, it said the super PAC published that photo as part of a transcript of a text message conversation, Jane Doe the third. Now, it says that Wheeler's claim that the photo might be lying prompted the woman to show CNN additional evidence proving it's her, including an old hard copy of that photo and a second photo of herself in the same dress. Then they go on talking about the abortion allegations. When CNN then brought up Tyler's date of birth to Wheeler's attention, Wheeler claimed in an email that there had been a typo by our social media guy. Oh my God, just a typo by our social, and the document quickly changed to say the abortion happened in the fall of 2005. But he said the underlying fact of Boebert having abortion nonetheless accurate. So he still says, even though we made a mistake on the date, supposedly, that these abortions occurred, and we were completely wrong and lying and fabricated about it, but it was a mistake by our social media guy. All right. Boebert has repeatedly claimed she has never had any abortions. Talked about Cruz's big contributions weren't made during the primary. You know, I mean, we could go on and on. Wheeler said, I agree. He says that that's not an accurate way to put it. It should have said subsequently, or it should have said in the summer of 2020. And said, yes, it does sound like it was immediate, but it wasn't until, as you pointed out. So thank you, CNN, for correcting our false story, our false narrative, the fraud that we want to perpetuate, the defamation we want to continue to do. Thanks for pointing that thing out to us, okay, that we were wrong again. And again, we talked about Boebert did not fail to report Cruz's contribution. It says the super PAC claimed that Boebert had initially failed to report a $70,500 contribution from Cruz. In fact, they promptly reported this in September 12, 2020 from the Cruz Fund. Now, remember, Ana was saying that this was the part that was completely legit, that was the juicy part of it, that she never disclosed that detail. They sort of hid the fact of the contribution. They put it in someplace else. They didn't do what they were supposed to do. TYT, come on. Come on over here and, come after me on this thing here and say, Dr. Shaikh, you're right. But you guys won't do that, right? You're not going to do that. You don't want to correct the record. You don't have any journalistic integrity. Of course you don't. That's not going to happen. The Sugar Daddy site said it has no record of Boebert ever being there. Representative of the Sugar Daddy website, in which the super PAC claims Boebert had a profile, supported Boebert's claim that she never used the site, saying in an email to CNN that a search of its internal records found no record of Congressman Boebert using this website. Now, Wheeler says evidence doesn't exist. He said that Jane Doe 3 possesses images of Boebert's old sugar daddy profile, that he had seen these images, but he doesn't possess them. I saw them. I saw those aliens. I saw the aliens, but I can't bring them out here. They don't want to come out. They want to remain hidden. Unbelievable, folks. Unbelievable, the stuff that these guys would do. But that's just the nature of the game right now. They do say politics, you know what? It's a dirty game. It's very, very dirty. You have to get down into the muck, into the mud, like the Muckrakers and TYT do. Anyways, we appreciate you taking the time to watch this video. You've been watching the Dr. Nasir Shaikh Show. I've been your guest host. My name is Dr. Nasir. We would love for you to subscribe to the channel, like, share, and follow us. Hit that notification bell, and I'll leave you with my final thought, which is, When you're right, you're right. And when you're left, you're wrong. We'll see you again next time, folks. Take care and stay safe.